when the name of the Most High appears at the beginning of these words, which incorporates the change that we discussed earlier. Okay. When you look at many of the names that incorporate, for example, Yahudah in the scriptures becomes Yehudah. They change it because they try to camouflage, they try to hide the pronunciation of the true name. Instead of you saying Yah, they change it to Yeh. Okay. But anyway, you're looking at the development of the name. So when you had the head added, now it's the name Yod Head. Okay, remember that hand, that creative force, and the head meaning that breath. So now you got the creative force, or the creative breath. Okay, with the name Yah. What then does Yahweh mean? So let's go to Psalm chapter 45, beginning at verse 1. Which reads, to the chief musician upon Shoshanim, for the sons of Korah, Maskil, a song of loves. My heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the sons of men. Grace is poured into thy lips. Therefore Elohim hath blessed you forever. Gird your sword upon your thigh, O most mighty, with the glory and your majesty. With your glory and your majesty. And in your majesty ride prosperously because of truth and meekness and righteousness. And your right hand shall teach you terrible things. The word terrible, not terrible in that sense. That's where when you get to the translation in that old English, it should say your right hand should teach you awesome things. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Your throne, now interesting, pay attention to the language here. Your throne, Elohim, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is a right scepter. So I want to ask this question. Who is Elohim? Now when you do a research, and I encourage everybody to read through Psalms chapter 68, the reason why, because that's the only time in Holy Scripture that you find the term Elohim being used in conjunction with the name Yah. And when that occurs, it's talking about Yahweh. Okay? In other words, we understand from what we discussed and what we discovered in the first chapter of Genesis, when it talks about Bereshit, Bara, Elohim. And throughout the first chapter, we learned that it's Elohim who brought all these things into being. He was at work in creation. But in the second chapter, in verse 4, Elohim finally has a personal name attached to it, which is Yahweh. Okay, Yahweh. All right. So now Elohim is the focal point when we get down to verse 6. And sometimes you'll find, if we're going to see that in other examples in other lessons, a psalm or an excerpt from a prophet may begin talking about one thing or one person, but in the midst of it, you see a transition and something else is referred to. That's why it's very important that we not read over things, but pay attention and once again, prayerfully, with sincerity and humility, ask the Most High to lead you and guide you through His Word so we understand these transitions that they're being made. But what he said, thy throne, Elohim, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is a right scepter. You love righteousness and hate wickedness. Therefore, Elohim, Elohicha. Think about that. Now, how that translates, therefore, mighty ones, your mighty one. Now, here's the question. And this passage confounds many believers because they're not sure who the object is. But when you look in the Hebrew, once again, for those of you who are familiar with the Hebrew, you know and understand that Elohim is actually plural, and it means mighty ones, gods. Okay? But then it says, we understand who Elohim is. Elohim is Yahweh. Yahweh, Elohim, which is used throughout the scripture. In other words, Yahweh, mighty ones, or Yahweh, the mighty ones. Okay? But then it says, and this is the part that confuses many people, it says Elohim, but then it says Elohicha. But what Elohicha means, your mighty one. And the question for my Hebrews, my Israelites, and my Jews out there, who is mighty one to mighty ones? Who is mighty one, singular, to mighty ones, plural? Now what this does, when you look at Yahweh, now together you have that unit, and you can look at Yah and Yahweh together as being Elohim. But if that's the case, who is mighty one to Yahweh? Unless Elohim in this passage refers to Yahweh alone, and Elohicha refers to Yah. And that's exactly what that means. So it said, your throne, mighty one, going back up to verse 6, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is a right scepter. You love righteousness and hate wickedness. Therefore, mighty ones, your mighty one, and check this out, has anointed you with the oil of gladness above your fellows. Did this just teach us that Elohim has been anointed? Think about that. What does it mean to be anointed? And once again, for my brothers and sisters out there, pray about it with humility and sincerity. Pray about that. What does it mean to be anointed? Furthermore, what does it mean that Elohim has been anointed? Think about that. So, being mighty one to mighty ones. Let's go to, once again, Ishayahu, book of Isaiah, this chapter 41, verse 4. Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahweh, the first and the last, I am He. Think about that. In other words, another way you can look at that. I, Yahweh, the beginning and the end, I am He. What does it mean to be the first and last, the beginning and the end? What does it mean? Let's compare with something else that Ishayahu brings out in chapter 43 and verse 10. And again, if you're familiar with the Hebrew language, research these things. Okay? 43:10 reads, you are my witnesses. Now what it means as being a witness is, you